Howdy fellas, B Junior here from B Junior's Movie Cave on the Endurance Productions YouTube channel. Gonna do a movie review for you today on a new DVD release, first time ever on DVD. This is an interesting little movie that was sent to me in screener format from the wonderful folks over at Echo Bridge Home Entertainment, whom, as you know, if you've been watching my videos for a while, are doing a lot of re-releases from Miramax line of films in their film catalog. Except this one is a little bit different. It is a director's cut of the second film ever made by Robert Rodriguez, who brought us films such as Desperado, Once Upon a Time in Mexico, From Dusk Till Dawn, just to name a few, and the Grindhouse movies. All these flicks from the last couple decades, basically, almost 2 decades. One of the harder working directors out there in the independent lower budget scene. Most recently directed Machete, one of my new favorites of the new era, if you will. This is it is an Echo Bridge release, but it's not bare bones, and it's been given a decent treatment. It's one of the odd ones that have slipped out and been done pretty decent. Director's cut of the film Roadracers. That's right, and it's got this little seal on it, first time on DVD, because it has not been, to my knowledge, ever released before. I'm not sure if it was on home video. It might have run on cable because that's part of its history. From what I understand from the behind the scenes on this DVD from Robert Rodriguez, he always sticks in a 10-minute film school or a cooking school, something like that. There's not a whole lot of behind the scenes on this, but there is a 10-minute film school, which is basically VHS footage from when he was filming this movie, and a commentary notes that he talks over that as it's playing and kind of guides you through the process of making this little film. He actually, from watching that part of it, I learned that he had 1 day less filming this movie than he did on El Mariachi, which was basically kind of quote-unquote a student film that he made that was in his Desperado trilogy, whatever you want to call it, or his Mexico trilogy. Basically, that film, from what he said in the behind the scenes, was filmed in 14 days. He actually made this film, Roadracers, in 13 days. But after you watch it, I was amazed at how many shots and editing and actually how much work he got out of 13 days and actually came up with this type of film. It's kind of like a drama, dark humor, action, some actions in there, but it's kind of a real weird story. From what I understand, this was to give you a little background, from what I understand of it, from a little bit of research, Roadracers is a film that of course, he did right after El Mariachi. He got kind of notoriety from that, from the Sundance Film Festival and all that, and Cannes Film Festival and all that. And basically, he went back home and he's going to try and make another full-length feature. So he went right on into production for this. And from what I understand, it's a made-for-Showtime movie. It was supposed to be a pilot for a Showtime series that was going to be debuting in the mid-90s. Of course, they never made the series, and this is one of those little movies that just kind of languished in kind of like movie Hades and never saw the light of day until now. But they actually, Robert Rodriguez does have a director's commentary on Roadracers and a 10-minute film school, which is more or less behind the scenes making a featurette, which is pretty good considering most of these Echo Bridge ones don't have anything. They're all bare bones. It does have 5:1 surround sound on it, and actually, the picture quality was quite good for a DVD. I thought it was pretty clean. It does star David Arquette, Salma Hayek, William Sadler, John Hawkes, a few. David Arquette plays a. It's one of those movies that's set in the 50s, I believe it is, and he's kind of like your stereotypical greaser kind of character in the movie, and he's in love with Salma Hayek, and it's about them. It's about a love story between them trying to make it with the prejudices of the days of her, Mexican background and all that. Plus, it's got little weird, quirky fights and humor in it, and he wants to be a musician too. And quite frankly, the story doesn't make up. It's very, very uneven. I mean, I'm not going to recommend that you run out and buy this one for that fact, but I would definitely give it a rental if you like Robert Rodriguez films and you want to see what his earlier works were, because this is one of those building blocks movies. The editing the action in the movie and things of that nature, and the weird, quirky sense of humor shows up better in movies like Desperado and From Dusk Till Dawn, and all those movies that came later, Machete, and shows you where he kind of made his bones, basically, and where he got his tools for the trade later on. Um, I'm not gonna say it's gonna be one I watch all over again, over and over again. Just a go-to video for him. But it's a good one for his history, and it's a good one to probably revisit every once in a while. I know the cover kind of promotes it like it's a Sin City type movie, but it's not black and white. It is a color movie, and it does look great. But it's just got those, you can pull out all the sensibilities of this movie that he took into better use later on down the road once he kind of got more experience. That's basically it's a very uneven story. It's about a semi-musician greaser guy in the 50s, and about him having to try and have a relationship with Miss Hayek, and there's a couple of thugs that are trying to track him down. There's a William Sadler who plays the local sergeant on the police force is always harassing him. And it's about him kind of having to deal with that guy, and it's just kind of like that. Like I say, it sets it up as kind of like an ongoing story at the end for the series, but the series was never made to my knowledge. If it was, please let me know, but I doubt it was, from the way he talked in the behind the scenes. Guys, like I said, it's a quirky little interesting 50s greaser movie made in the 90s from a very young Robert Rodriguez, new on the scene Robert Rodriguez. And like I said, it's new on DVD. I'm unsure if it's on Netflix yet. I don't think it's hit the street just yet. It's going to be another couple weeks probably, but I do know that it's coming out soon. It does say director's cut on it. However, I've never seen it before, so I don't know what's been added, what's been changed, or anything like that. I don't think he's done any Lucas-esque stuff where he went back and added stuff. It looks very 90s, so I don't think he's done anything different to it. There's some good music. There's some good music numbers in the movie and stuff like that. Really enjoyed that part of it. And another odd tidbit that I learned through the behind-the-scenes little film school thing was this was produced in part by Deborah Hill. If that sounds familiar, it should if you're a horror buff or genre movie buff. Deborah Hill was a longtime partnership person of John Carpenter, who helped produce a lot of his earlier to mid-90s films. And she's also done a lot of films prior to her passing, rest her soul. May she rest in peace. She did a lot of great projects over the years, and I can't even begin to name how many movies she's produced and how many decent ones that there are. But she really left her stamp on the genre and the world of motion pictures. But she helped produce this movie. She's one of 3 producers on the film, and written, directed, and shot by Robert Rodriguez. This is like one of his earlier films where he did like all the jobs, all the camera work. Watch the behind the scenes on it because it's really cool. They show the footage of him making the roller skate cam and have him on a board, and he's actually holding the camera and doing all these weird camera angles and stuff. And I don't know, it kind of had that Evil Dead feel. Now it's not a horror movie by any means, but it had that Evil Dead feel where it was a real homegrown running pace effort from Robert Rodriguez, where he just got a bunch of his friends, whoever he could get, borrow, steal, kill, and just made a movie real quick. And it's not his greatest by any means. It's not Machete. It's not Sin City. It's not anything on par with those films, but it's basically just a good building blocks film that I don't think you'll be sorry, especially if you're a Robert Rodriguez fan. If you like a lot of his films, I say definitely check it out in rental format, or at least see if it's a good price before you buy it. Like I said, it's not going to have a high, in my opinion, high rewatchability factor, but it's a good one to kind of step back and kind of have a laugh with, have some fun with. One of my favorite parts in the movie is the... Hi fellas, had a little technical difficulty there. The old battery went down on the camera, and I apologize. I'm jacked in now with some good juice to the camera, and let me just kind of sum it up for Road Racers today. What I was saying before I was untimely interrupted by the battery drain. Basically, Road Racers, one of my favorite parts in the movie is, or one of the things I'm astonished is the amount of grease that David Arquette just applies to his dome throughout the whole entire movie. It pays off in one special part in the movie called the roller rumble scene, basically where they have a quote-unquote rumble fight on the roller rink. between David Arquette and the bad guy thugs in the movie, and his ultimo oily head comes into play and helps him out of a bind. And I don't want to ruin that part for you, but it's a really funny part in the movie. Anyway, good little building blocks movie. I don't think it'll disappoint if you're a Robert Rodriguez completist about his movies. But if you want to see good Rodriguez movies or just good movies in general, I wouldn't run out and buy it. I would give it a rental first, mainly because it's not on par with some of his better movies later. It's a good sophomore effort from him, I guess you could say. Anyway, Roadracers, Echo Bridge Home Entertainment has this out now on their website, or I think it's hitting the streets soon. You can either order it from there, Amazon, or at your local Kmart, Wally Mart stores, wherever they have it. I would check it out if you're a Robert Rodriguez fan. Take care, dudes. I'll see you next time. Rock on.